Hello, and welcome to another episode of Super English Talks. I am really happy that you are here with me today. Maybe you are walking, maybe you are relaxing at home, or maybe you are on your way to school or work. Wherever you are, thank you for spending this time with me. In this podcast, we always talk about ideas that not only help you practice and improve your English, but also help you learn something useful for your life. And today, I want to share a very important topic with you. It is about beliefs. More specifically, it's about how your beliefs create your reality. Yes, your beliefs. The ideas you have about yourself, about other people, and about the world around you. These ideas are not just in your head, they actually shape your life in ways you may not even realize. Let me ask you something. Have you ever noticed that two people can face the same problem but react in completely different ways? For example, imagine two students who both fail an English test. One student might think, "I'm not good at English. I'll never learn." That student feels sad and gives up studying. But the other student might think, "Okay, I didn't do well this time, but if I study harder, I can improve." That student feels motivated and keeps learning. The situation was the same, the failed test, but the reaction was very different.
Why?
Because of their beliefs. Beliefs are like invisible glasses that we wear. They color the way we see everything. If your glasses are dark, the world looks dark. If your glasses are bright, the world looks bright. In the same way, if you believe you can learn something, you will probably try and chances are you will learn it. But if you believe you cannot, you may not even try at all. That's why beliefs are so powerful. They don't change the facts, but they change you, your feelings, your actions, and the way you deal with facts. So, in today's episode, we're going to explore this idea step by step. Here's what we'll do. First, we will talk about what beliefs really are in a simple way. Then, we will think about where our beliefs come from. Why do we believe what we believe? After that, I'll share some examples and even some personal stories. We will look at how beliefs can help us grow, but also how they can stop us from moving forward. These negative beliefs are called limiting beliefs. Finally, I'll give you some practical tips that you can start using today to slowly change your beliefs and little by little, change your reality. So, I invite you to listen carefully and also think about your own beliefs as we go through this journey together. Remember, my goal here on Super English Talks is not only to give you practice with listening to English, but also to give you ideas that are meaningful for your life. All right, let's begin. What are beliefs, really? Let's start with a very basic but very important question. What is a belief? We all have beliefs. Every single day, we live by them. We make choices because of them. We feel emotions because of them. But many times, we use the word belief without really thinking about what it means. So, let's break it down. A belief is simply an idea that you feel sure about. It is something you accept as true, even if you don't have complete proof. It's not just a random thought that comes and goes. A belief is a strong idea that stays in your mind. It is like the story you keep telling yourself about life, about who you are, and about other people. Here's something important. A belief does not have to be a fact. Just because you believe something does not mean it is 100% true. But in your mind, it feels true, and that feeling shapes your world. For example, if someone believes, "I'm not a smart person," they will probably not try to do difficult things because they already believe they can't. On the other hand, if someone believes, "I can learn anything if I practice," they will probably keep trying and improve. So, beliefs are powerful. They are not just words or ideas in your head. They are the foundation for how you live your life. Now, let's take a moment to understand something very important. How are beliefs different from thoughts and facts? This is a good question because many times we mix them up without even noticing. But they are not the same thing. Let's break it down slowly.
Thoughts.
A thought is something that appears in your mind. Thoughts come and go all the time, just like clouds in the sky. They don't stay forever. For example, right now you might think, I'm enjoying this podcast. A few minutes later, you might think, I feel a little tired. Tomorrow, your thoughts will probably be different again. That's what makes thoughts different. They are temporary. They can change in seconds. A thought can arrive quickly and then disappear just as quickly.
Beliefs.
A belief is stronger than a thought. It's not just something that comes and goes. A belief is a thought that you have repeated, accepted, and held on to many times until it becomes part of how you see life. Think of it this way. If a thought is like a visitor who comes to your house and then leaves, a belief is like a family member who lives with you every day. It stays. It guides your choices and your feelings, even when you don't realize it. For example, you may have a thought like, I made a mistake. That thought might come and go. But if you turn that thought into a belief, you might start telling yourself again and again, I always make mistakes. I'm not good enough. And soon, it becomes part of how you see yourself. That is the power of belief.
Facts.
Now let's look at facts. A fact is something that is true no matter what anyone thinks or feels. It's reality. It can be proven. For example, it's a fact that water boils at 100 degrees Celsius at sea level. It's a fact that the sun rises in the east. These things are true whether you believe them or not. Even if someone says, I don't believe the sun rises in the east, the sun will still rise in the east. That's the difference. Facts don't depend on opinions. Beliefs versus facts. Beliefs, on the other hand, are personal. They depend on how you see the world. For example, some people believe the world is friendly. Some people believe the world is dangerous. Both are beliefs, not facts. The world is the same place, but the belief changes how each person experiences it. Everyday beliefs. Now, let's look at some everyday beliefs, beliefs that many people carry without even thinking about them. Some people believe that hard work always leads to success. Some people believe they are unlucky. Some people believe money is the key to happiness. Others believe love is the most important thing in life. If you think about these carefully, you'll notice they are not facts. You cannot prove that hard work always leads to success. You cannot prove that someone is always unlucky. But when people hold these beliefs, the beliefs affect how they act, how they feel, and even what they notice in their lives. A personal example. Let me share something from my own life. For many years, I believed I wasn't good at learning new languages. I told myself again and again, I'm just not a language person. And what happened? Because of this belief, I avoided speaking in other languages. I felt nervous when I tried. And because I believed I wasn't good, I didn't practice enough. Of course, I didn't improve. My belief created my reality. It wasn't that I couldn't learn, it was that my belief stopped me from even giving myself a real chance. Maybe you can relate to this. Maybe you've had a belief like this about English or about something else in your life. Where do beliefs come from? Now, here's something interesting. Most of our beliefs don't just appear randomly. They come from things we heard or experienced a long time ago. We often get them from our family, our culture, our school, and our early experiences. For example, if your parents always said, "Be careful. The world is full of danger," You might grow up believing the world is not safe. If your teacher once told you, "You are very smart," you might grow up believing you are intelligent and capable. But here's the question. Do we always stop to ask, is this belief true? Is it helpful? The truth is, most of us don't. We accept these beliefs and live by them without even questioning them. So, as you listen right now, I want to invite you to pause for a moment and think. What are some beliefs you carry? Did they come from your family, your school, or your past experiences? And most importantly, are they really true, or just something you accepted long ago? Think about your own beliefs. Now, let's make this more personal. I want you to stop and think about your own beliefs. What are some things you believe about yourself? About other people? About life in general? Maybe you believe, "I'm not confident." Maybe you believe, "People can't be trusted." Or maybe you believe, "If I work hard, good things will happen." Where do these beliefs come from? Did they come from your parents? From teachers? From experiences you had when you were younger? Here's an important question. Have you ever stopped to check if these beliefs are really true? Or are they just ideas you accepted because you heard them again and again? Remember, beliefs are powerful because they feel like the truth, but they are not always facts. And here's the good news. Because beliefs are not facts, they can be changed. That means if you have beliefs that don't help you, you don't have to keep them forever. You can create new ones. We'll talk about how to do that later in the episode. But for now, just try to notice your beliefs. See them like stories you've been telling yourself. Some stories are helpful. They give you confidence, hope, and motivation. Other stories might be holding you back, keeping you from trying or improving. The first step is not to change them yet. The first step is just to see them clearly. The invisible power of beliefs. Now, let's talk about something simple but very powerful. The invisible power of beliefs. Beliefs are not always loud. They don't always shout inside your head. They don't always say, "Hey, I'm here, listen to me." Actually, most of the time, beliefs are silent, quiet, hidden. But just because they are silent does not mean they are weak. In fact, that's what makes them so powerful. Beliefs work in the background of your mind, like a computer program running quietly while you use other apps. You may not notice it, but it's controlling how things work. Beliefs guide your thoughts, your feelings, and your choices, even when you don't realize it. And because of this, they can either push you forward or hold you back. A language learning example. Let's look at an example that many of you will understand very well. Learning English. Imagine two people who both want to improve their English. The first person believes, "I'm just bad at languages. I've never been good, and I never will be." The second person believes, "Learning a language takes time, but I can do it. I just need to keep trying." Now, think about how these two different beliefs will affect their actions. The first person, the one who believes they are bad at languages, will probably feel nervous every time they speak. They might avoid conversations in English. They might give up quickly after making a mistake because, in their mind, that mistake is proof that they were right all along. They're bad at this. And what happens? Over time, they don't improve. Not because they can't, but because their belief stopped them from practicing enough to improve. Their belief created their reality. Now, let's look at the second person. This person believes they can learn. So even when they make mistakes, and of course, everyone makes mistakes when learning something new, they don't feel like a failure. Instead, they think, "This is normal." Mistakes are part of learning. They keep trying. They might ask for help. They might find new ways to practice. And because they keep going, they actually improve. Their belief creates a different reality, a more positive reality. Not magic, just belief. Now, I want to be clear. This is not magic. It's not that belief alone makes things happen. It's that belief shapes how you act, how you feel, and how you respond to challenges. And when your actions are different, your results are different. This is sometimes called a self-fulfilling prophecy. Maybe you've heard that term before. It simply means that what you believe often becomes true, not because the belief itself is magic, but because your actions make it true. The self-fulfilling prophecy. There's a phrase I want to introduce to you, a self-fulfilling prophecy. What does this mean? It means that what you believe influences what you do, and what you do makes your belief come true. Here's a simple example. Imagine you believe, I'm not an interesting person. Because you hold this belief, you stay quiet in conversations. You don't share your ideas, your stories, or your opinions. And because you stay quiet, people don't get the chance to know you. Then you think, see, I was right. People don't find me interesting. But here's the truth. It wasn't that you were not interesting. It was that your belief made you act in a way that kept people away. This same thing happens in many areas of life. In relationships, at work, in learning, and even in following our personal dreams. Our beliefs silently guide us, and before we realize it, we create a reality that matches those beliefs. Growth mindset versus fixed mindset. This idea connects with something you may have already heard about, the growth mindset. The growth mindset comes from an American psychologist named Carol Dweck. The idea is simple. People with a growth mindset believe that abilities can be developed with time, effort, and practice. They may not be good at something now, but they believe they can improve if they keep going. People with a fixed mindset believe their abilities are set in stone. They think they are either good at something or not, and there's not much they can do to change that. Research shows that people with a growth mindset usually do better in school, in their careers, and in life.
Why?
Because they believe improvement is possible. And because they believe it's possible, they try harder. They don't give up as quickly. They see challenges as opportunities to grow, instead of as proof that they're not good enough. Again, this is the invisible power of belief in action. A personal story. Let me share a simple story from my own life. When I was younger, I used to believe that I wasn't creative. I thought creativity was something other people had, artists, musicians, writers, but not me. Because of this belief, I didn't try creative things. I avoided art classes. I never wrote stories. I didn't even try to learn a musical instrument. My belief closed the door before I even had the chance to see what was inside. But one day, a friend encouraged me to try writing, just for fun. No pressure. No judgment. I was nervous at first, but I gave it a try. And to my surprise, I enjoyed it. The more I practiced, the more I realized that creativity is not just something you are born with or without. It's something you can develop, just like any other skill. For years, my belief that I'm not creative held me back. But once I let go of that belief, I discovered a whole new part of myself. And this can happen to anyone. The beliefs we hold about who we are, about what's possible, can open doors or close them. Often, we don't even realize how much they are shaping our lives. Your turn to reflect. So let me ask you, what are some beliefs that might be silently shaping your life right now? Maybe it's a belief about your ability to learn English. Maybe it's a belief about your talents. Maybe it's a belief about what kind of person you are. Sometimes these beliefs are so deep, we don't even notice them. but they're still there, quietly influencing what we try, what we avoid, how we feel, and what results we get. The good news is that because beliefs are invisible and personal, they can change. You don't have to be stuck with the same beliefs forever. You can start today by simply noticing them. When you catch yourself thinking, "I can't do this," or "I'm not good at that," pause. Ask yourself, is this really true? Or is this just a belief I've been carrying around without questioning? The more you notice your beliefs, the more power you have. You can begin to choose new beliefs, beliefs that support you, beliefs that help you grow, and beliefs that allow you to create the reality you want. Where do our beliefs come from? Now that we've talked about what beliefs are and how they shape your reality, let's take another step back and ask an important question. Where do our beliefs actually come from? This is such an important question because if we understand the origin of a belief, we can see it more clearly. And when we see it clearly, we can decide what to do with it. We can ask ourselves, should I keep this belief? Should I change it? Or should I let it go completely? The truth is, most of our beliefs don't just appear out of nowhere. They are created over time. They usually come from the people and places around us, especially when we are young. Let's look at some of the main sources of our beliefs.
1. Family.
Think about your family. From the time we are very small, we hear messages from our parents, grandparents, and other family members. Maybe your parents often said, "Work hard and you will succeed." Or maybe they said, "Life is difficult. Don't expect too much." Without even realizing it, we take these messages into our minds. Over time, they become part of the story we tell ourselves about life. 2. Culture. Our culture is another powerful source of beliefs. Every culture teaches us certain ideas about what is good and bad, what is possible and impossible, what is important and unimportant. For example, in some cultures, people believe it's better to be quiet and humble. In other cultures, people believe you should speak up, share your opinions, and be confident. These cultural beliefs shape how we act, how we feel, and even how we see ourselves. And the interesting part? Most of the time, we don't even stop to ask where these ideas came from. They just feel normal because everyone around us believes the same thing. 3. School. School is another place where many of our beliefs begin. Sometimes a teacher might say something simple, but it sticks with us for years. Maybe a teacher once told you, "You're really good at math." Or maybe a teacher said, "You're not very good at writing." Even if the teacher didn't mean to create a belief, those words can stay in your mind. You start to believe that you are the kind of person who is good at one thing but not at another. And once you believe it, it often becomes your reality. Friends, classmates, and even what we see on TV or social media can also plant beliefs in our minds. A single comment or repeated message can create a lasting belief about who we are and what's possible for us. 4. Experiences. Finally, our own experiences play a huge role. Imagine this. You tried to give a speech in front of your class, and you felt very nervous. You might start to believe, "I'm not good at public speaking." Or maybe you tried to cook a meal, and it didn't taste very good. You might believe, "I'm a bad cook." But here's the important thing. One experience doesn't mean it will always be that way. Just because something didn't go well once doesn't mean you can never improve. Still, our minds like to make stories. We use those stories to make sense of the world. And often, those stories turn into beliefs.
A reflection for you.
So, let me invite you to pause for a moment and reflect. Think about a belief you hold about yourself. Maybe something like, "I'm not good at learning languages." I'm not a creative person. I always mess things up. Now, ask yourself, where did this belief come from? Did someone tell me this? Did I have one or two experiences that made me feel this way? Is this belief really true, or is it just something I accepted without questioning? It's not always easy to see where our belief started. But when we start asking these questions, something amazing happens. We open the door to change. A couple of small suggestions to make it even stronger. Smooth the transition. You start with beliefs and self-fulfilling prophecies after already explaining where beliefs come from. You could make the link clearer, like, now that we know where our beliefs come from, let's look at how they affect what actually happens in our lives, often in ways we don't notice. This brings us to the idea of a self-fulfilling prophecy. Add a quick positive English learning example. You gave a negative one, I'm not good at languages, which is powerful. But right after, you could contrast it with the positive version. Now imagine the opposite. If you believe, I can improve my English with practice, you'll probably look for more chances to use it. You'll speak even if you make mistakes. You'll listen more closely, and over time you'll see progress. That belief pushes you to act, and your actions make the belief true. Bring it back to the listener. End this section with a reflective question like, so think about it. What's one belief you carry right now that could be turning into a self-fulfilling prophecy in your own life? Your positive belief leads to positive action, and that action leads to success. This is why beliefs are so powerful. When you change what you believe, you also change what you do. And when your actions change, little by little, your whole reality begins to change too. Let me tell you a simple story. A few years ago, I had a friend who wanted to apply for a new job. She really wanted the job, but she kept saying to herself, I know I won't get it. I'm just not the type of person they are looking for. Because of that belief, she didn't give her best. She filled in her application quickly, without much effort. She didn't practice for the interview because, in her mind, there was no point. And of course, when the day came, she didn't do well, and she didn't get the job. Afterward, she said, see, I was right. I knew I wouldn't get it. But here's the truth. It wasn't her ability that failed her. It was her belief. Her belief made her act in a way that almost guaranteed failure. This story shows us something important. Beliefs and actions are deeply connected. Your beliefs guide how you behave, and your behavior creates your results. So, if you want to change your results, you need to start by looking at your beliefs. Ask yourself, what do I believe about myself? What do I believe about my abilities? What do I believe about other people and the world around me? And then ask, are these beliefs helping me? Or are they making my life harder? When you begin to notice your beliefs, you can break the cycle. You can let go of the ones that limit you, and you can choose new beliefs that help you grow. And when you choose new, better beliefs, your actions change. And when your actions change, your reality changes too. Limiting beliefs versus empowering beliefs. Now, let's go even deeper. There are two types of beliefs that shape your life the most: limiting beliefs and empowering beliefs. Think of them as two voices inside your mind. One voice is small, heavy, and negative. It tries to keep you stuck. It says, don't try. You can't do it. You'll fail. That's the voice of limiting beliefs. The other voice is brighter and stronger. It encourages you to keep going. It says, you can learn. You can improve. You can grow. That's the voice of empowering beliefs. And here's the key. The voice you choose to listen to makes all the difference in the kind of life you create. So, what exactly is a limiting belief? A limiting belief is an idea you hold that stops you from trying, from growing, or from reaching your goals. It's like a wall in your mind. It says things like, I'll never be good at this. I'm just not that kind of person. I always fail at things like this. People like me don't succeed. The problem is that limiting beliefs feel so real. You believe them, so you act in ways that make them seem true. You don't try, or you give up quickly, or you avoid challenges. And then, of course, the result matches the belief. It feels like proof, but really, it's just the cycle repeating itself. Now, let's look at empowering beliefs. These are the beliefs that give you energy, courage, and hope. They help you see challenges as opportunities, not as impossible walls. They sound like this. I can get better with practice. I don't need to be perfect to make progress. Mistakes are part of learning. Every day is a new chance to grow. When you hold empowering beliefs, you act differently. You keep going when things are difficult. You try again after you make mistakes. You look for solutions instead of giving up. And because of those actions, your results improve. So, here's the simple truth. Limiting beliefs close doors. Empowering beliefs open doors. The choice of which ones to hold on to belongs to you. You're more likely to look for solutions instead of only focusing on problems. And when you act with more confidence and hope, you naturally begin to see better results. Let me share a personal story with you. A few years ago, I had a very strong belief about myself. I thought I was not good at public speaking. That belief came from one bad experience in school. I had to give a short speech in front of the class. I felt nervous. My hands were shaking. I forgot some of my words, and I saw people looking at me with confused faces. After that day, I told myself, I'm just not a good speaker. I always mess things up when I talk in front of people. And because of this belief, I carried it for years. Whenever there was a chance to speak up in meetings or share my ideas in groups, I stayed quiet. I didn't even try. I told myself it was safer that way. But what was really happening was that my belief was holding me back. Then one day, I was asked to run a small workshop. At first, I almost said no. My old belief told me, don't do it. You're not good at speaking. You'll only embarrass yourself. But then another thought came to me. Wait, what if this is only a belief I've accepted? What if I can actually learn to get better? That little shift in thinking gave me courage. I decided to prepare well. I practiced my talks several times at home. I reminded myself that I didn't need to be perfect. I just needed to do my best. And you know what happened? The workshop went well. People thanked me afterward. Some even said they learned something useful. That one experience completely changed how I looked at myself. I realized that maybe I could be a good speaker as long as I prepared and practiced. From then on, my belief started to change. Each time I spoke again, I felt a little more confident than before. Slowly, I built a new belief. I can be a good speaker if I prepare and practice. And that belief opened new doors for me. It gave me chances to share my ideas, to teach, and even to grow in my career. This is why becoming aware of your beliefs is so important. Many of us carry limiting beliefs every single day without noticing them. They feel so normal because we've had them for such a long time. But if you stop for a moment and ask yourself the right questions, you can start to see them clearly.
So, I invite you to do this right now.
Take a moment and think, what limiting belief might be holding me back? Maybe it's about your English learning journey. Do you tell yourself things like, I'll never speak fluently, or I always forget new words? Or maybe your limiting belief is about another part of your life, your work, your relationships, or your dreams. Whatever it is, just notice it. Don't judge yourself. Don't feel bad. The first step is simply to see it. Once you see it, you can begin to question it. You can ask, is this really true? Or is this just a story I've been telling myself again and again? And when you ask those questions, you give yourself the chance to create a new belief. Not a limiting one that keeps you small, but an empowering one that helps you move forward. Now, you might be wondering, can I really change my beliefs? The answer is yes, you can. The good news is that beliefs are not permanent. They are not fixed. They are not something you are born with that can never change. In fact, science shows that our brains are always capable of change. This ability is called neuroplasticity. Don't worry about the long word. The idea is simple. Neuroplasticity means your brain can build new pathways and new connections whenever you think differently, practice something new, or form a new habit. The more you repeat a new way of thinking, the stronger that pathway in your brain becomes. That's how you can replace old beliefs with new ones. Even if you've believed something negative for many years, you don't have to keep it forever. You can choose a new belief, practice it daily, and slowly it will become your new reality. With time and effort, you can build new beliefs that support your growth and help you move forward. But here's the truth. Changing a belief doesn't usually happen in one night. It's not like flipping a switch. It takes awareness, patience, and practice. Think of it like planting a seed. At first, it's small and fragile, but if you keep watering it and giving it sunlight, it slowly grows into something strong. The very first step in changing a belief is to question it. Most of us carry beliefs around without ever asking where they came from or whether they're really true. We just accept them as part of who we are. But when you pause and ask yourself, is this belief really true, or where did I get this belief from? You begin to open the door to change. For example, maybe you keep telling yourself, I'm not good at speaking English. If you stop and question it, you might realize that this belief came from one bad experience, like forgetting your words in class or making mistakes when talking to someone. Or maybe it came from comparing yourself to someone who speaks more fluently. But if you really think about it, is it true that you can never improve? Of course not. That belief is not a fact. It's just a story you've been telling yourself. And here's the key. Once you notice that a belief is just a story, you can begin to write a new one. One powerful tool for creating new beliefs is affirmations. Affirmations are simple, positive statements that you repeat to yourself. At first, they might feel strange. You might think, this doesn't feel like me. But remember, your brain learns through repetition. This process is called neuroplasticity, your brain's ability to change and grow by building new connections. The more often you repeat a positive thought, the stronger it becomes in your mind. For example, instead of saying, I'm bad at speaking English, you can start telling yourself, I'm improving a little every day. Or instead of saying, I always mess up, you can say, with practice, I'm becoming more confident. These positive messages won't instantly make you feel different, but over time, they will shape the way you see yourself. And as your beliefs change, so do your actions. You'll take more chances, practice more, and start to see better results. Another important part of changing your beliefs is to surround yourself with positive influences. The people you spend time with and the messages you hear every day play a huge role in shaping what you believe. If you're always around people who complain, give up easily, or say, why even try? It won't work. Then it's easy to start believing the same. But if you're around people who encourage you, who remind you that growth is possible, and who celebrate effort instead of perfection, their energy will lift you up. This doesn't mean you have to avoid people who are struggling, but it does mean you should make a choice to invite more positive voices into your life. These voices could be friends, teachers, mentors, books, podcasts, or videos, anything that inspires you and reminds you of what's possible. Let me share a powerful example. Everyone knows Michael Jordan as one of the greatest basketball players in history. But when he was a teenager, something surprising happened. He was cut from his high school basketball team. Imagine how that felt. He could have easily believed, "I'm not good enough. I'll never make it." That belief might have stopped him right there. But instead, he chose a different belief. He told himself, "If I work hard, I can get better." And because of that belief, he practiced more, pushed himself harder, and kept improving. His talent was important, yes, but it was his belief in growth and effort that made him a champion. Now, you don't need to be a sports star like Michael Jordan to change your beliefs. Every one of us has the power to do the same in our own lives. Whether it's about learning English, building confidence, starting a new career, or improving relationships, the process is the same. First, you notice your limiting belief. Then you question it. Then you choose a new, empowering belief. And little by little, through practice and positive action, that new belief becomes your reality. So let me leave you with a simple thought. You are not stuck with the beliefs you have today. You can create new ones, beliefs that give you strength, courage, and hope. And when your beliefs change, your actions will change. And when your actions change, your life will change too. What's working well? You're keeping the message practical. Self-talk and journaling are simple, doable steps. You remind the listener that perfection isn't the goal. That makes it more approachable. The tone is supportive and conversational, which builds trust. Suggestions to make it even stronger. Smooth the transition into self-talk. Right now it feels a bit sudden. You could connect it back to the earlier idea of questioning beliefs. Example. One of the easiest ways to start noticing your beliefs is by paying attention to your self-talk. Tighten repetitive phrases. For example, instead of saying pause and ask yourself, "Is this really true?" or "Is this just an old belief that isn't helping me anymore?" You could simplify to pause and ask yourself, "Is this really true?" or "just an old belief I've been carrying?" Journaling tip expansion. Right now you explain what to do, but you could add a quick how example. For instance, write down one limiting belief on the left side of the page, and on the right side, write a more empowering belief you'd like to practice instead. Add encouragement at the end. A sentence that reminds them it's okay if it feels slow or awkward at first. Something like, "Remember, even noticing one limiting thought or writing one sentence in your journal is progress." Visualization is a very powerful way to help shape new beliefs. Visualization means using your imagination to picture yourself as the person you want to become. You close your eyes and see yourself acting in the way you want to act. For example, you might imagine yourself speaking English confidently, having a conversation without fear, or giving a presentation and feeling proud of yourself. When you visualize something in detail, how it looks, how it feels, even what you might hear or say, your brain starts to create new connections. It begins to accept that this future version of you is possible. And the more you practice this, the stronger those new beliefs become. At first, it may feel a little strange or unusual. That's normal. But even a few minutes of visualization every day can start planting new, positive beliefs in your mind. Another simple daily habit that can help is using affirmations. Affirmations are short, positive sentences that you say to yourself. You don't need a long list, just one or two can be enough. For example, you might say, I am learning and improving every day. I can face challenges with courage. I deserve to succeed. The key is to choose affirmations that feel right for you and relate to the beliefs you want to grow. At first, repeating them might feel a little strange or unnatural. That's okay. Over time, your mind begins to accept these messages and slowly, your beliefs start to change. And as your beliefs change, so do your actions and eventually, your results in life. It's also very helpful to celebrate small wins. Many people only focus on big goals, like becoming fluent in English or getting a new job. But the small steps you take every day matter just as much. Maybe you spoke English for 5 minutes today without switching to your first language. Maybe you tried a new task at work. Maybe you noticed a limiting belief and chose to question it. These are all signs of growth, and they deserve to be noticed and celebrated. When you focus on progress rather than perfection, you build confidence and motivation. Step by step, you create new beliefs about who you are and what you can do. Even small, consistent actions can slowly transform your reality. So, I want you to take a moment and ask yourself a simple question. What is one new belief you want to practice today?
Just one.
Maybe it is something like, I can improve my English if I keep practicing. I am strong enough to face challenges. Then think about one small action you can take to support that belief. Maybe it's writing it down in your journal. Maybe it's saying it out loud. Maybe it's imagining yourself living that belief in your mind through visualization. The important thing is to take small, consistent steps rather than trying to change everything at once. These small steps will add up and create a new reality for you over time. Now, let's take a moment to look back at some of the main ideas from today. We started by understanding what beliefs really are, the ideas and stories in our minds that feel true, even if they are not always facts. Then we explored how beliefs shape our reality. We learned that they quietly guide what we do, how we feel, and even the results we get, often without us noticing. We also talked about self-fulfilling prophecies. This means that our beliefs can create a cycle. What we expect to happen often becomes true because we act in ways that make it happen. And we saw that small steps, daily practices, and simple tools like visualization and affirmations can help us change limiting beliefs into empowering ones. Remember, the journey of changing beliefs and shaping a new reality is gradual and steady. It takes patience, practice, and awareness. But each small step you take brings you closer to the life you want. Your beliefs are not fixed. They can grow, change, and support you in amazing ways.